Yo, what's poppin'? What's poppin'? SuerFlex Fantasy Football Show coming at you live and direct. Kedz and Nomad here, your host. I got my guy, the King of Pop. I got my guy, the producer, the dude in the back, holding it down on the one and twos. Yo, just giving the whole world a whole bunch of love. Been another crazy week in the NFL, and we'll take a look at exactly what that looked like. And we'll start things out just by giving a little bit of love to those who love us, starting with my homie, the Nodge. Absolute shout-outs to you, as always. First man in the chat, big shout-out to the Scottish Bear, just jumped in. Mad love to you, my brother. Let's give a little bit of love to the Plankster. Haven't shouted out you or the Sheep Planking a little bit. Big props to you, Plank. Plank's holding it down in the SuerFlex League right now, running things. Mad shout outs to my guy Mo Fugra, to Jay Grizz, to Joseph Archer, to my guy Jim Hunter. Damn it, Jim. You know what I mean? Just giving a little bit of love to all those out there who always give us props. Mad love to my guy King Booker World, Black Diamond, Black Rain. Hey, the list goes on and on. But we'll get into things here, and let me throw it over to my guy, the King of Pop. What it do, man? How have things been? How's this week in the NFL treated you, bro?
Well, my fantasy for me, I got a couple of big games from guys, and I needed them because I had a couple of blanks from what's his name, Isaiah Likely, and I believe John Mechie gave me absolutely blanks, just got goose egg. But I got some numbers that I didn't see coming from a couple of guys like Zay Flowers had a huge game, like 30, 31 points or something like that. And then Ray Davis, who's a backup, I put him in my starting lineup. And I think I lucked out there, but it's starting to really trend like he's going to get a significant, amount of totes. So starting to make sense for me to have him in there. But, he's still a backup. So, you don't expect a 17-point game every week. But got fortunate, man, got a victory. So I'm happy with that. I still need to make a move or two, man, to really shore up that backfield. But we'll see what we need to do moving forward.
You know what, man? Let's do the world a favor. Let's show them your team. So you're starting out. CJ Stroud. Not that like your team's pretty nasty. So anyhow, he's starting with CJ Stroud at quarterback. DeAndre Swift running back. Ray Davis. Oh, Ray Davis had a nice little week. 17 points for Ray. 31 points from Double J, Mr. Jefferson in Minnesota. Can't go wrong with that. He's pretty much a lock every week. Zay Flowers, wow. Yeah, almost a 40-point game for Zay Flowers. That really carried you over. Goose egg from Isaiah Likely. Questionable moving into this week. Just to note that for the rest of the world out there, you were able to sneak in some Tillman love there this week. Eh? You got Tillman on the waiver wire, and he produced for you too. So all you guys out there questioning the Tillman thing, it's real, it's legit. He's putting up almost 20 points a week. So if he's still available, you know what I mean? Go look for Mr. Tillman. But we'll get into that a little bit later down the road. So John Mechie. I don't blame you for that one, though. That was a good try. No
risk it, no biscuits. Just like the name on the thumbnail, man. You got to take some risks sometimes, man. And that was a straight up shake the dice in your hand. I just crapped.
That was definitely a craps table flex. I can't blame you for a second for it, right? I can't blame you for a second. It's something I would do as well if I was really hunting for a wide receiver last week. But unfortunately, no biscuit, right? no biscuit this time when you risked it with John Mechie. But if injury continues for that Houston Texans team, and I'm sure it will, it might have just been a bad week. Things may improve for John Mechie. I have faith in John Mechie. He's a great wide receiver. Justin Tucker's your kicker. He's got Kansas City as his defense, which really didn't do much justice there this week.
They let me down a little bit, man. But you know what? That Bucs offense is a little bit. I mean, it's so dumbed down so that you can't really without 13 in there, there's not really a guy that you really want to lean on for some consistent numbers, man, because they do spread the ball around. It's just a short passing game, catch and run. It's a lot of crap, man. But yeah, Kansas City usually puts up decent numbers for fantasy defense, man, but they just didn't look their best the other day.
Yeah. It wasn't one of their better weeks. You put up some real good numbers there this week, to be honest with you. Let's give some love to Black Rain, because Black Rain pumped up just about 200 points this week. Let's look at his squad. Jaden Daniels starting out. Can't go wrong with King Henry at the running back position. I don't need to tell anybody about that. Joe Mixon, if he's starting, he's putting up, 15 plus, in this case, 2023. Jacoby Myers, 28 points in Vegas as a starting wide receiver. That's pretty crazy. That's impressive.
And they fired their offensive coordinator, and I think that
hold on. We'll get to all those good things there very shortly. Trust me, that's really what we're going to do here today outside of standard fantasy football stuff. By all means, get interactive. Let us know what your squad looks like. Pitch your questions as we go through. We'll try and hit them as we while we're live. Same token, though, we are going to take a bit of a deeper dive and a closer look at what's happened in the NFL today at the trade deadline. So King of Pop is just jumping into some of that, but we'll go through Black Rain squad. CeeDee Lamb, can't go wrong. This is a down, normally these two should be flipped, but it is what it is. Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts. Yeah, I'm just gonna say probably the most overrated tight end in the league, but there it is. Two points for Kyle Pitts on a week. You know what? Let's just look. Oh, forget it. We'll look at Kyle later on. Tony Pollard, 25 points. Kareem Hunt, Kai Fairburn as the kicker, and Los Angeles Chargers defense, which did pretty well, putting up 19 points on the week. Anybody else show out this week in the SuerFlex League? Just want to give you guys a little bit of love. Oh, I think Team Plank has to be talked about because he's running the show right now.
Beat the dog poop out of me.
Oh, did he really? You're up against Plank this week there, dude? Ouch. Aretha Franklin.
I think Demarcus Robinson put up some decent numbers this week. He's on the damn thumbnail.
Jeez. All right. So Kirk Cousins and Kirktober. Oh, it's no longer Kirktober. So numbers are slightly down. That's a good thing. J.K. Dobbins doing damage in LA. 30 points almost. Alvin Kamara. If the New Orleans Saints are playing, Alvin Kamara will be putting up 17 points a week at the least. In this case, he doubled that output. So 34 points for Alvin Kamara. Tyreek Hill with Tua, 12 points, still a low week in my eyes for the number one wide receiver, in my opinion, in the NFL. Just hasn't really looked the same since Tua got hurt and came back. Quentin Johnson, fantastic pickup, Plankster. I know Quentin Johnson was floating around in waiver wire. How I know? Because I've been staring at him for weeks thinking, is this the week that I get me some Quentin Johnson love? But he's under normal pretenses hit or miss. But lately it's been a whole lot of hits. So good on you there, Plank. Well fetched out of that waiver wire. David Njoku at tight end. Can't go wrong. Tyler Lockett, 15 points. Yeah, man. Well done there, Plank. And there's the guy, right? So this week was all about Jackson Smith and Jigba, who put up 47 points in the SuerFlex League. That's just crazy numbers. That'll carry anybody over the top. I have to say he is sometimes available on waiver, because I just snaked him on waiver wire in a completely separate league. I'm super happy about it, and he did just about the same output for me there this week, so no complaints. He should be rostered. If he ain't, go get him. Go get that guy.
I didn't realize he put up those numbers this week. It just goes to show you where my mind's been. I didn't know he did that well.
Oh yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba is starting to pop over there. That to be honest with you, just the passing game is popping. Look, 15 points for the number 3
Wait,
was
well, hold on. I think you may want to people may want to just be cool. And I'm not saying don't go get him, but I don't think they've had DK Metcalf for a couple weeks. So
well, that's his output's actually still been good all season if you really look at it. So maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But nice team. Group A is the kicker, and the Detroit Lions at defense. Pretty decent squad starting out for the Plankster. Shout outs to you, man. You crushed the league this week. Big props. Looks like Nodge won 2. Let's see what's going on with the Nodge. Jalen Hurts, Kyron Williams. Oh, big week for Jalen Hurts, 31 plus. Slow week for Aaron Jones in Minnesota. He's been putting up really good numbers week on week. This is a down week for him. Amon-Ra St. Brown can't complain. Rome Odunze can't complain. Look at 25-point week. He's starting to pop, guys, like Rome. I don't know what's going on, but he catches the ball when it's thrown to him. I have to say that under normal pretenses. I think he had one. Okay, it looks like he's 2 targets he missed on the game, 7 targets in total. He's starting to pop, guys.
He should be doing well. He gets a lot of one-on-ones.
Yeah, because there's double teams going to the other 2 wide receivers. So he is doing well. The unfortunate reality is he's just not getting into the end zone. But considering that nobody else is, it is what it is. Cade Otton, 21 points for Cade. I'm pretty sure I watched the Nodge snake Cade Otton off the waiver wire this week, which is pretty crazy. If that's the case and Cade Otton's still available out there, just a little piece of information, but everybody's hurt in Tampa Bay, and Baker Mayfield likes to use a tight end. He was using David Njoku when he was elsewhere. Now he's using Cade Otton, and it's working. So if you can find him, do it. Brian Robinson in the flex spot. Tyler Kraft. Ooh, harsh week for Brian Robinson. Tyler Kraft at kicker.
I don't think Brian Robinson.
Sorry, Tyler Kraft at tight end. He's got 2 tight ends.
Robinson didn't even play, I don't think.
Yeah, I think Brian. Yeah, it says he was out there this week, so it doesn't look like he played at all. 0 points there. Upside is you've got 2 tight ends that are producing here. Nodge. That's actually pretty cool. So he's got Tyler Kraft in a flex spot as well, contributing. Seabird is the kicker, and Minnesota Vikings defense. Just to note, if somehow Minnesota Vikings defense is floating around in your fantasy league, just get him now. Get him immediately. Get him yesterday. That defense is doing crazy stuff, and they're putting up ridiculous fantasy numbers.
Hey, Kedz, can you do us a favor? And I don't know. Can we look at like the team matchups for this week, like this week here, before we get to the actual position to go out and get? Because I think knowing that, well, you'll be able to know that by looking at the players. But sometimes I look at the game matchups and I can really quickly determine whether or not this guy's a viable guy, that guy's a viable guy. But it's up to you.
It's a little bit tougher for me to just get blanket team matchups, but let me see what I can do. We're moving into week 9. This season's just flying by, and none of the right things are happening. All right. Oh, you know what? I can do this. Bear with me.
Mr. Charles, what's up, man?
The easiest way for me to do this is this, actually. Oh, Minister Charles, you just jumped in. Always good to have you, my brother. Here's how we do it. So I can share this from another source. Bear with the guy, because these guys will definitely have it.
I know there's a lot. I can tell you this right off the top of my head. I know it's been a lot of angst when it comes to the Dolphins and Tua and Tyreek Hill. But if I'm a Tua, Tyreek Hill owner, or anybody on that offense's owner, I feel good about this matchup this week, because they really are in a do or die situation. They didn't give up any pieces during the trade deadline, which makes me think they're gonna press the gas all the way to the wire. And so they've got to really, really play.
All right. So I was going to share it on. I was going to share it live. I'm not going to, just because of branding purposes. In any event, we'll go through them. So first game of note. I believe this is the Thursday game. Bengals versus Ravens, interdivisional matchup. Yikes. Right now, Ravens are favored in a major monster way, which is probably to be considered. Things to say, interdivisional matchup.
So that's going to be a tough game. I don't care what each one of their records is. That's going to be a tough ass game because it always is. You know, both of those teams see themselves as Super Bowl contenders. Well, no matter what the record says, those quarterbacks are going to go at each other. It's going to be an offensive explosion or a defensive struggle. One of the two. It's not going to be an in-between thing.
I think the Ravens win this game, but I think there's a fair amount of points scored on both sides. So, fantastic football game in the end. If I'm betting on the game, I'm actually betting Bengals just because of the odds. These interdivisional contests are, they're a little bit different, just a little bit different. And King of Pop's 100% right. Can't really look at the records that these two teams have. What you can say is, again, both teams are Super Bowl caliber teams vying for position within their division. And as always, those interdivisional matchups are a little bit different, man. They're a little different. So, yeah. So that's game one on Thursday. Game two, Giants versus Panthers. Two bad teams. Strangely, the Giants are favored here. I'm assuming it's at Giants. Yeah. So here's a great week for some Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton love. Yeah, it'll be a good week for that. But at the same time, Panthers just pulled out a win there last week. Don't think they're complete scrubs. Say what?
Mr. Xavier Legette for the past 3 games has been putting up he's getting in the end zone.
So there's another little waiver wire guy who's probably floating around. If you see Xavier Legette out there, it's only a matter of time before he started to pop. Well, I'm just gonna say it now. Like should I say it now? Anyways, let's go through these matchups first before we get to what I was about to say. So that's what's happening that's what's happening on Sunday, game 1 at 9:30. I'm assuming that might be out of market somewhere. Next game we got Patriots versus the Chicago Bears. Bears are heavily favored in this game, and I gotta kind of laugh because anyhow you're heavily favoring the Chicago Bears after the way that they've played in the last 2 games, you're a real bad team. Like, you know what I'm saying? Things are not going right for the Patriots if they're 2-point dogs, and they're just about 2-point dogs here.
Something is amiss in Chicago. I almost did a podcast today for the trade deadline. The fact that they didn't budge and they released a guy instead of adding a player, let me know. And I could be whoever thinks I'm off when I say this, but I think they showed no confidence in Flus, or they would have made a move. I think that was to me, that's the takeaway I got from that. No other, something is amiss. They don't like the direction they're going, and they haven't renewed Flus's contract. So, I'm not down on Bears altogether, but I don't see a lot of confidence coming from that front office. Or I would have seen a good move today if they had some confidence in Flus. However, can this guy get them to rally around each other and play like an MF? Yes, I think so. And so anybody on the Bears offense, I think is a good. Actually the Bears defense as well. So anything Bears this week is probably a good pickup for anybody.
I don't know what to say. All I can say is DeAndre Swift is great. Is a great look. Bears win this game if Cole Kmet gets involved. Things to note. You can almost match the losses this season with the target share for Cole Kmet. Almost match them up. I think they're lined right up. Games won. Decent amount of target share for Cole Kmet, decent amount of yardage. What's popping, King Booker? Always awesome to have you, my brother. But that's my thoughts. I would start Cole Kmet. I would start DeAndre Swift. I would start Rome Odunze. Keenan Allen is not a crazy start either, just because of the target share he's getting. But these past couple of weeks, man, Keenan Allen's been looking like Old Man River. That's basically the best thing I can say about Keenan Allen right now. But DJ Moore, I don't know what to tell you guys. I got DJ Moore in at least two leagues. I thought these last 2 weeks in both scenarios would be big, resurgences of DJ Moore and his talent. And we've seen just about nothing come out of him these last 2 weeks. So
DJ would have humongous numbers right now if Caleb Williams hit him on at least half of the throws he's thrown at him. They are, for whatever reason, those two are out of sync, and it's just there's opportunities there, and they're not connecting. I would just say that without throwing either one of them under the bus. I would just say that there's opportunities there every game. It's just not connecting. I mean, DJ Moore should have at least 25 points every game.
Yeah, and that goes for Keenan Allen too, man. Keenan seeing between 5 and 7 targets game on game. Rome Odunze putting up 25 points, 100 yards with the exact same numbers. Difference being one of these two guys is catching the football. Right, like that's basically the answer to that. So, the major difference for Keenan, though, Keenan's targets are in the red zone, in the end zone. Like, he's getting targeted frequently in places he should be putting up numbers. It's just not happening. Now, against a burgeoning Patriots team, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe this is just get right city for the Chicago Bears. Let's be, again, completely frank. It can also be get right city for the New England Patriots. This team is not playing well together. Drake may coming up. He may come out there and show the Chicago Bears that they should have picked him. And I'm not really saying that. I'm just saying he might have a chip on his shoulder and a reason to play some football come Sunday. So
I think it's going to be a big ass day for the Bears defense.
I hope so. It should be. There's no reason why the Bears should not win this football game. Let's just be vanilla here. They are in the talent area. They are leaps and bounds better than the New England Patriots are at this present time. So, one more again, Bears should win this football game. Will they? Is a whole other question. Moving on, we got Bills versus Colts. That's going to be much closer looking football contest here between the two. I don't see it being all that. Oh, wait a minute. Quarterback change. This might be an interesting football game, y'all. This might be an interesting football game. Colts could pull this game out on some, changing of the guard type stuff. They could pull this game out.
Where's the game at?
I believe it's at Buffalo.
No,
it can't be.
I think if there's a team surging right now, I think you got Buffalo is in that category, man. I think they're almost looking like a juggernaut out there at times, man. But that's Buffalo, though. Buffalo can look really, really good. Next thing you know, they can go out there and play like a dog. These are two teams that face each other often, and they know each other. And so another one of those situations where almost anything can happen, especially when you got Joe Flacco as a quarterback on the other side.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on this one. I think Joe Flacco is gonna make for a little bit of an upset. What's going on, Jesse? What's popping, brother? What's popping, Sir Drop? No way, Colts win. He says. I'm just saying it's once Flacco gets out there, it changes the dynamic of the Colts. Colts have a fantastic defense, and Joe Flacco with the wide receiver talent over there, it completely changes the team. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. The whole world and the NFL's money is on the Bills here right now to win that game. But
by the way, Jesse, I don't know exactly who Cousins is playing, but I'd lean Cousins. He said he says
Cousins are Tua this week.
Cousins, Stroud, or Tua. I'd lean Cousins, but depending on I like Tua's matchup this week. I really like them to get on track. They have no choice but to try to get on track.
Okay, well, let's circle back when we check out those three matchups. All right, so Broncos versus Chiefs. Well, that's just going to be a steamroll. Not too much to talk about there, except for D-Hop. If he's floating around waiver, go get him. It's the worst. Drafted DeAndre Smith. I drafted D-Hop. Dropped D-Hop after 4 weeks of absolutely nothing. Then he gets traded to Kansas City, floating around somebody else's team, putting up numbers now. Very upsetting. Is what it is. If he's out there for you, get him. Let's go to the next game. There's not much to talk about the Broncos, really. Next game we got Falcons versus Saints.
Oh, definitely start. They just lost Marshawn Lattimore, and there's other guys on that defense not playing too. So, to your point, Jesse, definitely go Kirk Cousins on that game.
Yep, that's a really good catch, right? So Kirk Cousins would be my lean as well, considering it all. He's going to have a fantastic game. So will their wide receiver core. If you got Mooney out there, start him. The rest of those guys, start them, with the slight exception of Kyle Pitts, because it's Kyle Pitts. Saints, Kamara, run it. Shaheed, run it. That's about it. He's biased because Pittman lost me my week. Okay, I hear you, sir. I hear you, sir. Drop. It was a tough matchup, man. This will be a tough matchup too, but they're going to upset a couple of teams. That's all I can tell you. With Flacco, they're going to upset a couple of teams. Things are going to change very soon.
You gotta look at it this way. You gotta look at it this way, sir. Drop. Who they played this week, you have to consider. Last week you got to consider. Yeah. Minnesota, that defense is going to befuddle almost any quarterback in the league, even your most veteran quarterback. So I wouldn't read too much into how good or how bad the somebody on the Colts did this week, because who they were playing. Them going into this week, you trust me, anybody from the Colts with Joe Flacco back there is they're gonna do good numbers in there, man. So I would, unless something's wrong with Pittman, I put him right back in there.
Just looking at Julian Garcia. What it do, Julian? Drop Wan'Dale Robinson. Is that what you're talking about? Drop Wan'Dale for Khalil Herbert. Got DK, Puka, London, D-Hop, and Dell as my wide receivers. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm not sure what they're really gonna do with Khalil Herbert over there. If they really just start him one time, that's a fantastic move, sir. Do it. What's popping, Augusto? Running backs: Hall, Kamara, Chase Brown, Dobbins, Hunt, Chubb. Wide receivers: London, Neighbors, Ridley, Thielen, and tight end Bowers and Hawkinson. Would you do Hunt for DJ?
Oh, no. He's talking about Kareem Hunt for DJ Moore. DJ Moore is too much.
Well, hold on a minute. I hear you. I need to look at what Kareem Hunt's really been doing this season, because
25 this week.
Really?
Yeah, he got 25. But here's the thing: the load share is going to change, because Pacheco is probably on pace here soon enough to get in there and take a boat. Probably trim his carries in half. So
would you do Hunt for DJ? I honestly wouldn't, just because Hunt's fresh, just got out there, and he's starting to put up numbers. The flip side of this is, at this point, DJ Moore is kind of a question mark. I don't know what kind of output he's going to put up week on week. It's probably closer to 9 to 10 points a week. If Hunt continues with the potential for 25-point games on the ground, yeah, I would actually keep Hunt. Play him in the flex spot.
I take that trade if somebody came at me and I had Kareem Hunt and they want, hey, yeah, I'm taking.
I normally would, but again, let's zero in on that. So I've definitely got. What did I do? Oh, that's what I did. Boom. I've definitely got DJ Moore on my team. So let's just look at his numbers. Not this one.
Got to remember though, Khalil Herbert. I'm talking to Julian. Got to remember, I wouldn't pick Herbert up. Probably not right this first week. His touches are going to be limited. He's going in there dealing with a whole new system.
I don't know. They might just run him.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
They might just run him. It's running the ball.
You still got to know your pass pros, man.
There's no way they're really. I would be surprised if they really put him in that situation right up front.
You got to know your pass pros. You got to know your hot reads. You got to know your audibles. It's more to it than just going back there and running the ball. You got a pass pro and know when the pass pro. You know your checks, your hot reads, and on-site stuff that happens on the field too. You just got to know. I could see him getting about 5 to 8 touches in that first game, maybe. And then after that low share kind of picks up to about 15 or 20 once he gets the basics down. Because you got to think he's getting in there on a Wednesday. This is their physical pad practice. I don't know that. I mean, they'll dress him, I'm sure, but to play him with the limited amount of information that he has, I don't know that he's a good pickup right now. Right, not this week. Maybe in the next week or two.
All right, so DJ Moore, jeez, week 1, 10 points. Week 2, 11 points. Week 3, 15 points. Week 4, 11 points. Week 5, big breakout, 100-yard game, 2 touchdowns, 30 points. Week 6, 6 points. Week 7 is a bye.
Can you show us? What are you looking at?
5 points. Week 9, 7 points. So that's the output for DJ Moore. I'm going to share with you guys here in a second from this source here. Players. Boom. All right, you guys can see that now, right? Yeah, you can see DJ. So, yeah, this is I was looking at a different source. The numbers are similar, but in any event, totally up and down. They're looking at kind of a 10-point situation at best with DJ with an anomaly in week 5. Outside of that, it's been lower than 10 points these last 3 weeks.
Who's got DJ in our league? But hey, if you wanna trade part ways with him, holler at me.
Oh, listen to this. Trades are up there. I can tell you who has him. The dude. The dude's got him. He's sitting back there behind stage laughing right now, I'm sure.
Holler at me, dude. You know my number.
Just saying.
Everybody has a price.
Yeah, that's to quote the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. But yeah, so that's basically where we're at, man. That's DJ. I don't know if you really want to pull a trigger like that. It is a question to me. I would be a little bit worried about it. So to finish off these games, we did Patriots, Bears, Broncos, 49ers, Buccaneers, 1:00 game on Sunday. That's going to be a tough game. 49ers are heavily favored. I'm going to give this game to the Buccaneers.
I don't know why in the F they would be favored in
because that's what, like, they would be the favorite team in this scenario. Folks aren't, the NFL, this just means the NFL isn't a believer in what's happening in Tampa Bay. I am. I think Tampa Bay wins that particular contest. The odds are crazy here, guys. Like, the odds are heavily in San Francisco's favor. So definitely worth a little. I will put a parlay or a bet on this one for sure. Next game, Steelers versus Commanders. This will be an awesome game. Commanders are favored in this contest. Steelers have made some moves here today, which we'll get into shortly. Vikings versus Jaguars. Ouch. Vikings are favored in this game. It's kind of close. That being said, I think Vikings walk away with this particular situation. I would suggest staying as far away from the Jaguars offense as possible this week if you can.
That coach is a dead man walking.
Well, it's not just coach. This Vikings team is just going to blitz the living daylights out of Trevor Lawrence. He's going to have a hard time. So, it's going to likely be, if anything, a Tank Bigsby / Travis Etienne situation. One of the other.
Trevor Lawrence is the last quarterback I'd play this week.
Yeah, there's probably a couple that are also on that list, but he's definitely on that list. Definitely. I would dodge that like the plague if you can. Same token, play the Vikings defense. You're going to eat. What do we got? Titans versus Chargers next up. Titans versus Chargers. Chargers are heavily favored against the Titans. Yeah, sounds about right to me. Yeah, not much good going on in Titans land. That's my 2 cents there. But we'll move on to the next one. Interdivisional matchup. Eagles versus Cowboys. Anybody see that reverse hurdle? Good Lord above me. You see that this week?
Yes, I did. There's some at Saquon Barkley. I said this a few times on different shows. I haven't seen like this generational running back come through college and come to the NFL. Like, Saquon Barkley was just on a bad team. Obviously, we know that now. We talking about a generational running back. We talking about this dude is built like, I don't know. It's like you can't really construct a running back physically. I mean, to look any better and actually be as physically good as he is. Like, this dude is special. Like, Saquon Barkley is an absolute wonder of an athlete physically, man. I mean, he is just he's a phenomenon, man. By himself, he can carry a team.
Yeah, all by his lonesome. He's one of one. That, like, in a phone booth, like, if you imagine you're trying to tackle a man in a phone booth, like, he's the type of back that would dodge you in a phone booth. Not just once, multiple times. You have a hell of a time getting this man down in a 4x4 box. Man, that move, that, like, the spin, that whole sequence was a thing of beauty, and he should be commended for that. He's going to really do wonders for this Eagles team. And good Lord, I don't know why the Giants would have ever considered letting him go under any pretenses.
Very rarely do you see a guy with every physical attribute plus the skill set to boot. I mean, he's a 230-pound running back that can absolutely put his shoulder down and plant you into the dirt. And he can make you stand there and look stupid with your shoestrings untied. I mean, he can catch out of the
He
back.
catch the ball too. I mean, there's nothing he can't do.
Receiver on the team, so he's the ultimate. You know what I mean? He's the ultimate running back. He and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, just elite physical ability, man. You can't. Those two guys is them. Those two, I would say, Jonathan Taylor and everybody falls, and throw in Alvin Kamara. He's just outstanding running backs, man.
Yeah. You got to put King Henry in that mix too for completely.
Yeah, but he's not the completely
different reasons. Different reasons.
Are.
He's the best at what he does. He doesn't do everything. Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, those guys can do just about everything on the field when they're healthy. You know. Same with Alvin Kamara. Very similar situation. What else we got? Okay, so Eagles, Cowboys. It is what it is. Eagles are heavily favored. Play your players in this respect. All the Eagles wide receivers and Saquon Barkley are definitely coming to the table. Same token, Cowboys, as far as CeeDee Lamb is concerned, he will always be good for a decent amount of fantasy football points on a weekend. Dak hasn't been playing great. The rest of the wide receiver core is a little bit down, but I think you can still find some decent output from them in this contest. It's truly that run game that is a major question mark for the Cowboys.
Sir Drop wants to know Debo or Devontae for the rest of the year. Go Devontae 110% of the time. Debo, that team is dead and they don't even know it yet. That team is dead. This team's already dead. They just don't know it yet. That's why they didn't make a big time move at the trade deadline. They don't believe that team can do anything. So I would go Devontae Adams. That era was just going to go up and up and up. Debo, he's just too injury prone, man. If I got my choice, I'm gonna go Devontae from here. I would, just based on what I've seen this week.
Yeah, I don't trust Debo either. I would have to agree with you and go with Devontae Adams. And I'll also just tell you, I'm kind of sour on Devontae Adams. I've drafted him over the past few seasons. His one season with Derek Carr was amazing. It was a great pickup. Since then, it's been super touch and go. Now he's back with Aaron Rodgers, and things might be starting to line up correctly. Might be your guy, man. Might be your guy moving forward.
Kid, I finally saw what I thought I needed to see between those two in that combination. It's there.
That doesn't surprise me, right? And again, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers here, so that should be a bit of a boost for the passing game for the Jets. They've been able to pull out a couple of games here recently, so I do it. I think that connection is a real legit thing. The Debo situation, I'm not sure how healthy he's really going to be throughout the rest of the season.
How is Debo going to be a real, unless they do a lot of slot and motion stuff with Debo and throw him the ball short areas and let him run. If they run him as just a regular receiver, as an X or Z on the right or left boundary, he's going to get slid coverage over him or roll coverage towards him because they don't really have anybody else right now. Jennings is out. Ayuk is gone for the year. What you have out there is Pearsall, who's going to get a whole lot of one-on-one. But if I'm playing the 49ers right now, I'm going to find wherever Debo Samuels is and double.
It's funny you say that. I would be looking at Ricky Pearsall as well. Waiver wire, if he's out there, grab him. That's the guy I would be looking at because it's now going to shade coverage away from him and give him the opportunity on those one-on-ones. And he's a really good wide receiver, y'all. Really good wide receiver.
I can see a lot of frustration coming out of him. Straight up frustration because that's what happened to a lot of players that end up getting doubled and they can't connect and the game's getting away from him and he's not a part of it. I can see dudes like Debo getting real upset and it could show on the field.
Absolutely. All right. A couple more to round things out. So Jets and Cardinals. We just talked a little bit about the Jets and Devontae Adams. Cardinals, I will say, so shout out to Thigh. Carl from BCP. I whooped his butt this week in the in the Bears Podcaster League. Shout out to you, brother. And why I'm giving you a shout out is because he started Kyler Murray this week, who played against the Chicago Bears, and he didn't get a whole heck of a lot done. It was a pretty low game for Kyler Murray this week.
Who do the Cardinals have again?
So the Cardinals are playing the Jets this week.
Okay.
That
should be a good one.
It should be an interesting situation. The Jets defense is super solid too. Don't get me wrong. I am going to suggest that I don't feel that things are going to be quite as, quite as lackluster by way of the passing game. The Bears, in my opinion, have one of the better secondaries in the league. It was the run game that was the issue. Right, their run defense was the issue, so they were forced to beat the Bears on the ground, and they did, and that's exactly what they did.
The Jets are decent against the run.
Say again?
Jets are decent against the run.
Jets are decent against the run, and like I can't sit here and say that their secondary is soft. They've got Sauce Gardner; it's a good secondary, but I think they're still going to threaten them a little bit more so with the pass as far as Carolina is concerned. So I think Kyler Murray's not a crazy start for this week. And why I brought up Thighs, because Thigh was like, he was taking trade offers on Kyler Murray this morning. So there is that.
I tell you what, the guy to go and look for, if you guys want a guy to pick up, and I can't think of his name right now. Nick, help me out, because I know you know this guy. I think he was on your team. If he's not, it's the opposite receiver of Marvin Harrison. So that I forget the guy. I think he's a rookie from Stanford or something like that. But
Michael Wilson.
If he's not injured, that'd be a guy I would be looking at right now, because they're gonna go after. It'll be Sauce and when they're 1-on-1, it'll be Sauce and Marvin Harrison Jr. But I don't know exactly what the ratio is man to man. I'm talking about the Cardinals defense versus zone. But I see him in a lot more man-to-man, and that'll be Marvin Harrison and Sauce doing a whole lot of dueling out there. So, Michael Wilson would be a guy I'd look for.
I would say so too. And to flip the script a little bit, if it's Sauce Gardner on Marvin Harrison Jr., I'd be a little bit worried out there for Marvin Harrison Jr. owners. And to double down on the thigh talk, Carl was also trying to trade Marvin Harrison Jr. today, so he was out on he had the Cardinals handcuff, and he was done with the Cardinals handcuff after this past weekend. But going into this Jets game, I can kind of see why he might be off the Cardinals handcuff. I don't see Marvin Harrison Jr. doing a whole heck of a lot this coming Sunday against a Sauce Gardner. So yeah, Michael Wilson would be the call.
Nicked up too, by the way.
Well, there's that, but like my thing is Tariq Stevenson basically shut that guy down. He shut him down, and if Tariq can do that, I have a feeling that Sauce Gardner can too, even a little bit nicked up. So shout outs to Marvin Harrison Jr. He's a rookie. He will get better as time goes. That being said, next couple of games we got to round out the week in the NFL coming. We've got the Lions versus the Texans. That's a big matchup. I think
Nico Collins comes back this week too. So
say what now?
I think Nico Collins is in the return to field window. I think it's 21-day. Whether or not he plays this week, but I think he'll be eligible in the 21-day window to play. So that's a big, huge lift for CJ Stroud and their chances, because him being there gives them a much better chance of competing against this team.
Okay, so he's slated to start. So I have Nico Collins on one of my teams, and this team's been hurting. This team's been hurting since he went down, I'll tell you, because he was putting up crazy numbers. If Nico Collins is back this week, that really changes the potential for this game. Without Nico Collins, it's a steamroll for the Lions. With Nico Collins, it's a football game. I still think the Lions win. Got to be frank on that. That being said, for you Nico Collins out owners who have Nico Collins sitting on IR right now, take him off the IR, dump somebody from your team, get him ready for week 9 because it sounds like he's ready to go. Next up, we've got the final game of the week, Monday night, Dolphins versus Rams. Yeah. Rams are favored in this game. Dolphins have been hurting a little bit. I'm not really sure what's going on in Miami. Is it just Tua? I kind of
he's shaking off the rust, in my opinion. I believe he's, after you sit there and you've been watching for several weeks, you really need time to get your timing down. What I watched a little bit of it just to see if I can detect what was going on there, and the timing is just a little bit off, and you can tell it's just going to be a matter of snaps before they get back into sync.
Okay. I was just worried about the run game over there, to be frank with you, because in Tua's absence, this guy should just be lighting up the NFL. And let's be kind of frank, he has been. He's been putting up really solid numbers in Miami, and that's Devon A-Chain. Almost 40 points this week, 30 points a week before. I don't expect much less from him moving forward, especially against the teams that he will be playing over the next couple of weeks. Good look. So that will help, if they can establish that run game, that will help Tua get,
he's going to put
back into the swing of things.
He's going to put up nice numbers against them.
I have a strange feeling. This week will be the resurgence of the Miami Dolphins. I thought they had the potential and caliber to do some damage here this season. It's really unfortunate what happened to Tua, but it sounds like he's working his way out of all of that. So, I would start yourself some Tyreek Hill. I would start yourself some Waddle if he's out there, and do what you can because.
I'd start neither one of those defense. I think this can be a 35-38 game straight up.
That's a very good call. I won't argue with it for a second. I think you're bang on there. Well, you know what? Okay, yeah. You're right. You're right. All right. So that's sort of the NFL matchups that we're looking at. We gave you a pretty good idea of who we would be starting in these situations given the week. Let's take a look at my guy, Adam Schefter. Where are you at, Shefty? Or Ian Rappaport. Either will do. But there was one graphic that had it all. Bear with me. Just bear with me. See if I can find this thing. Here we go. Okay, so I will share.
Tua, Jonathan, easy.
Yeah, Tua put up. I think it'll be the resurgence. Oh, wait a minute, but it's Daniel Jones against the Panthers. You know what? I would actually go Daniel. It's a toss-up. I would probably go with Daniel Jones.
I'm still taking Tua on that one, but I get it. Daniel Jones against the Panthers. That sounds like easy candy right there.
It is. It's going to be candy. Malik Neighbors will put up numbers, and I have a strange feeling so will Darius Slayton. If you got him, that handcuff should be worth its weight in gold this week. And I think the quarterback will see some decent numbers this week due to all that too. Where am I here? So if I do this, oopsie daisy, where are we? Boom. And maybe do this. It'll make things easier to share. Now won't it? Okay. Oops. All right. There we go. All right, so we jumped in awesome Twitter just to see who's been moved. We will start with the Browns. Cleveland has let go of Zadarius Smith, which makes perfect sense. The lower guy on the totem pole has left the building. The other side of that edge rush has now gone to Detroit. So Detroit has been in absence of Hutchinson. He's been injured over the last little while. I'm not sure if he will make it back into the season, but maybe playoff time. That being said, they just got themselves some pass rush help, which is much needed. And as far as the rest of the NFC North is concerned, that's not good news. Speaking of the NFC North, the Bears have moved off of Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert really hasn't gotten any run this season at all. They were able to pick up a 7th rounder for Khalil's services and moved him over to the Cincinnati Bengals. So as discussed a little bit earlier on, if Khalil Herbert's available in your leagues, you may want to grab him. I'm not so sure he plays football this weekend. He may need the week to acclimate. But if he doesn't, if they have him slated as starter, pay full attention because if he gets a starting role, he will put up significant numbers. If you need a running back, there's your running back. Panthers let go of Jonathan Mingo, who is a smooth wide receiver. They drafted Jonathan Mingo, I believe, just shortly after drafting Bryce Young. I believe it's in the same draft, if I'm correct. They've moved off of John Mingo. They now have Adam Thielen. Wait a second. Did they also move off of Deontay Johnson too? Is that right? No, man.
Who?
Deontay, the Panthers.
Yeah, he's been gone.
Okay, so that's a couple of weeks now. So they've just sort of cleared out that wide receiver room, which is confusing to me, with the slight exception of Xavier Legette and Adam Thielen. So that's kind of how things look in Carolina. They're short one more wide receiver. And again, I think John Mingo is a really good wide receiver, and the Cowboys are lucky to have him. So he's been shipped over to
Dak. So I wouldn't play him.
Well,
Dak's on IR for 4 weeks, and I wouldn't play him. I don't think he's a viable option for anybody right now. I know he's going to have a far better look being in Dallas, but without Dak there, he's rendered useless for the most part.
Oh, geez. If Dak's on IR, sir, then that whole game against the Eagles is in flux. They're going to get steamrolled. That changes everything. And that also might make you want to take a closer look at starting even a CD Lamb. Might be a low output week for a CD Lamb.
I'd be trying to trade CD Lamb if I was somebody.
Oh, that's crazy. Now you're just saying crazy.
I would. I mean,
you're trying to get people. You're just trying to get people to trade you CD Lamb.
Without Dak Prescott there, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. You might have a depressed your numbers on your fantasy numbers because you're used to putting up 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 point weeks, and without Dak there, I'm telling you right now, you might be looking at a very depressed stat line from CD Lamb, and I'm just saying, man.
So what you're saying really is find a Cowboys fan sucker.
No, I think CD is going to shut it down without Dak there. One way or the other, he's going to shut it the fuck down. They're not going anywhere. He knows it. He's smart enough to know to not put your body on the line for some nothing ass games, and so that's why on top of the fact that Dak's not going to be there for 4 weeks, fuck yeah, I'd trade him.
Well, I definitely have CD in at least one league, and there are Dallas Cowboy fans in some of those leagues. So we'll see what I can do to maybe move off of a CD Lamb.
I definitely don't need receipts.
I don't want to do it. Like I'm just saying, he's been thus far. He has been a lock, to 20 to 30 point lock every week. Just the output is under normal pretense is well worth it, but you can't control injury, especially at the quarterback position. Who else we got here? So Marshawn Lattimore, who we did touch on a little bit earlier, he's no longer with the New Orleans Saints. He's moved over to the Commanders. He'll be playing in Washington. Washington's starting to beef their situation up, and I think it may be worth its weight in gold. I think that's a great move for the Washington Commanders.
Question is the question that all the fantasy people would want to know is: Washington is sitting on somebody's trash heap in their fantasy league. Is Marshawn Lattimore now enough being added to that defense to make them a viable piece to put on your fantasy team? I don't think anybody's got Washington Commanders defense.
The defense?
Is Marshawn Lattimore enough to make you want to pick up, the Washington Commanders defense?
So not this guy. If you're asking me, I know you're asking the world. If you're asking me, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. There's much better defenses out there. If you're in a desperate situation on a low week, by all means. But this is a week where you could go and scoop yourself the New York Giants defense and rock and roll. But
some good football, man. I can see the team, everybody around them seems to be rallying to a point. And I don't see it as I wouldn't say you have to be in desperation to pick them up. I'd pick them up, stash them just to see how this trends, for a week or two, and be ready to start them in a couple of weeks just to see what kind of impact Marshawn Lattimore, just to have you a safe, you got a spot on your team and you don't really need anything, and you got a guy sitting there not really doing nothing. You got a position open, man. Grab him, see how this goes for the first couple of weeks. Because when you make a move like that to get a Marshawn Lattimore, you're signaling to the rest of the world that we felt like he's the piece that can help us challenge and go deep into the playoffs. So you feel good about your defense. You feel like this piece can help you really get over the top. And, I'd stash him. Be quite frank with you.
Well, there's all of that. I would be much more wary. I'm just not a believer in the Commanders as a defense yet. What I will say is that Dan Quinn is a great coach, whether we're talking head coach or on the defensive side of things. So we'll see how they continue to trend with this addition. King of Pop may be right. He might be bang on this one. Maybe that is a viable defense to keep your eyes peeled on. So we'll see how they trend over the next couple of weeks. But I have a strange feeling they are going to trend upwards. Who else we got? Mike Williams. The other Mike Williams. The other Mike Williams. Leaves the Jets. He's now a Pittsburgh Steeler. So the Steelers have done a couple of things here today. They've added some wide receiver help. There's also the next move they pulled off was pulling Preston Smith away from the Green Bay Packers, and he's now a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, which I like that. That works for me. Anything that makes the Packers even slightly less, is good for me. So I'm with that. I don't see it really helping the Pittsburgh Steelers. I will say those things, but I think I need another week to watch what's going on over there with Russell Wilson at the helm.
Well, let me, if you don't mind, I'll shape what I see happening in Pittsburgh with the addition of Mike Williams real quick. Okay, so what I see happening in the first week or two is right away, what they did was try to get another viable deep threat so that they can't roll coverage towards that. I mean, it's all about getting George Pickens open on a regular basis. And if they continue to slide coverage towards George Pickens, Mike is going to get a lot of footballs early. And so I think he's a really nice piece to have right now. It might not be apparent in week one, just like anybody that's coming midweek in a trade, don't expect them to go out there week one and put out gaudy ass numbers for you. in fantasy. But that week following that and the week following that, this is a good pickup for you. Mike Williams with Russell Wilson like to throw all those moon balls, and he's a 50-50 ball. That's how he's made his money. He's a 50-50 ball catcher. And so why I say that Mike Williams is a really, really good piece to stash if you have receiver problems, and then you won't see it apparent in this first week, but the weeks after, going down the line, I'm telling you, you're going to be glad I told you to grab this dude. He's perfect for what they want to do.
Well, there's that, and I do agree with the sentiment of grabbing Mike Williams. I would think that he's probably pretty heavily drafted out there, but if he's available, get him. He really hasn't been seen anywhere near the target share, especially not the receptions, the completions that that one might want.
All that shit out the window. When he gets there, it's going to be different.
I agree. Russell will chuck the ball up, and we were seeing some folks just come down with it. Some folks not necessarily named George Pickens. So Mike Williams might, be a fantastic addition to that wide receiver core. What else we got? We did talk about Preston Smith. I think this rounds it out. There's also the Rams letting go of Tre'Davious White, who's now with the Baltimore Ravens. So that there bolsters the Baltimore Ravens secondary, I believe.
They needed it bad, and nobody's going to drop the Ravens defense. They haven't been performing that well, but I'm telling you, when it gets down to it, you need pieces on the back end to be able to bolster what you do up front. And so they've been cornerback needy probably since game 1 or 2 of the season. They've been, guy by committee for the most part. I thought that actually one of our corners from the Bears might be getting targeted for when we were talking about Josh Blackwell not starting this week.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons why I was saying that, like they could be kind of slowing him down because he's in trade talks or something. Who knows?
So I meant to mention that Jalen Jones, as far as the Bears is concerned, was he was injured during the game, and we brought it up with respect to both Josh Blackwell and Jalen Jones. But he was actually injured, so no trade considerations there. Doesn't look like much trade by way of trade considerations for the Chicago Bears at all, except for the Khalil Herbert trade. There's much more speculation for guys like Nate Davis, etc., to perhaps be shipped out. But even more consideration for somebody to be shipped in. I think you hit the nail on the head, though. It sounds to me like they've lost faith in what's happening in that locker room at present, given the talent, and there may be some sort of a change later on.
We'll just do this live, man. We talked about this before, but this is totally up to you. Seems like we've covered your fantasy stuff for this week. You could probably we could probably switch this background and put up Nomad at Night background or something like that. If you want to go here, it's up to you.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit of Bears towards we've given the world an hour. We've super flexed it for the hour. If you have any more live inquiry, by all means throw that in the chat. We will answer it expeditiously. But by all means, let's take a minute and chop it up, Bears, if you'd like.
If you don't mind throwing up a Nomad at Night background. That's the best thing to do so people can see it and know that we switch trends, kind of. No, not that one. That's that motherfucker. Hell no. We got a better Nomad at Night background than that, don't we?
We're throwing it back.
I like it. Leave it. Let's go.
I'm trying not to. Where's the newest one? That old.
What newest one?
I didn't put a new one in there?
Nope.
Oh, wow. All right, so be it then. So be it then. Here we are. All right, so we almost did a Bears podcast this week, kids. I mean, I'm talking about a trade deadline podcast. Why? It's because I felt like I'd just say a week before this just happened with the against the Commanders, that that letdown had me believing, and I believe inside that building, that they were perfectly willing to move and do something and get some pieces, man. A piece at least. And we did nothing. And what it said to me, kids, I'm just gonna be flat out. My instincts have been pointing this direction all damn day. They no longer, I don't think the front office has the confidence in Flus. And not only that, I believe it's he's not the only one. Like, I wish I could show you guys my DMs right now. And Flus is not the only one catching strays. It's Ryan Poles. He's catching it right now. And for whatever reason, that sentiment that we're feeling on the outside of the building, I'm starting to feel like there's something going on. I think the relationship between Flus and Poles might be fractured right now, man, because this team should be better, man. They should be performing better. Things should be a whole lot better than they are, man. And it did look to me while I was watching that game as though the team, especially defensively, they kind of, and the players play. Coaches coach and players play. It looked like they kind of gave up on them. But, I think this is why this week is going to be very, very pivotal. It's because we're going to find out if what my instincts are telling me is true or not. Did they really shut it down on Flus and they no longer have confidence in him? Talking about the team and going further, does the GM feel like, you know what, before I end up losing my shit, maybe I need to cut bait? You know what I mean? We may be in that territory, kids. That's just the way I feel about the whole situation.
Well, I'm glad you said all of those things. I'm in 1,000,000,000% agreement with everything you just said. We argue all the time. That being said, I'm in full agreement with all that. I don't think, like, it's so funny because even today I had to stop for a minute and really think about Ryan Poles's, the optics for Ryan Poles from where he sits. And there's a lot of questionable stuff, man. There's a lot of questionable stuff, and I don't know how easily swallowed it is, but it all kind of hinges on the retention of the coach, right? It really does hinge on that one fact. Sometimes we put, as I say, you put your eggs in one basket, right? You put your eggs in a basket and you hope they don't crack. And the first basket was Caleb Williams. I'm deciding I'm drafting a quarterback. This is what I'm going to do. We're going to release the other guy, get him out of here, trade him, bringing in number 1 draft pick. Boom. Eggs in a basket. Now, you turn around and you go and you do a bunch of other stuff by way of bringing in talent to the team. But the obvious issues with the team remained. And there's still glaring obvious issues to this moment, right? They still are. None of them have been rectified, fixed. They've been massaged. It's probably the best thing I can say. They brought in some talent, but not high caliber talent by way of protecting the quarterback or by way of rushing the passer on the other side, or again, stuffing the run on the other side. So those are the two areas of concern, and they weren't addressed. There's basically all sorts of other things that were addressed, and they were flashy, and we were interested and hyped about it. And on paper, it should work, but we well know that those 3 things would be the question marks of this season. Will that defensive pass rush get hit home? And I think it's doing all right. I think it's doing all right. Could it be better? Sure. I think it's doing all right. Are they going to be able to protect Caleb Williams? No, they can't do that. Kids trend. I think he's got 29 sacks right now. It's not trending well by way of protecting the quarterback that you just drafted. And the next piece is the ultimate piece, and that is, do you have the right Do you have the right coach to be able to bring this collection of humanity to the playoffs, or at the very least, just win with this collection of humanity? And the track record for the coach thus far was no, absolutely no. He has proven nothing by way of coaching in the NFL outside of, yes, I can stand on the sideline with a menu and a headset. But the saving grace and the catalyst was, throughout all this losing, this guy was still a great coach. People love him in the inside house hall. People like this guy. They want to go to war for him, and that's fine. That's good, and that's the reason why he was retained. Unfortunately, in my opinion, that reason should never be enough for that particular position. That reason is not enough by way of coaching. So here we are with a coach who's having a lot of troubles and continues to have them. Here we are in a situation where, again, they're experiencing attrition and injury, and protecting the quarterback is actually getting harder as they progress into the season. Thank goodness the defense is good.
Well, I'm going to tell you like this, because I don't want to get carried too far along into this, man. I don't want to stay here during your fantasy show and talk too much about it, but I seen you going there. I heard you going there, so I felt like maybe we ought to switch up the look and that whole thing, because we do have a show to do tomorrow. We got to do some extra sauce, and I got a feeling that's going to be the large part of the conversation tomorrow. We're gonna have a heart-to-heart with the No Maniacs, man, and we're gonna talk about whether or not we made right choices. Did Poles do enough? Did he make the right moves? Did we stick with Flus too long? Is Flus the guy? Did they lose that locker room? And we gotta as a player, as a former player, I have to put the hot coals on people's feet. And sometimes you gotta do that directly with the players. Sometimes the players, they all the time have to go out there and execute everything that's called. But sometimes at the same time, you can get a sense of, okay, this whole shit that's going on, these speeches and this whole situation that we have going on has grown stale and it's run its course. I'm tired of it. Seems like the same old shit all the time. And it's not getting better like it should be. Like Caleb Williams should have been progressing a whole lot further than he has right now. And that offensive line probably should be a whole lot better looking than it is right now. And both of them are combined and conjoined together. But at the same time, the results are the same. It's like you just got to playing a bunch of mediocre teams for the most part. And you got some wins. But here we go. This is your last gimme. After that, man, you got Murderer's Row pretty much. So I mean, I don't want to carry on too long in this conversation because we do have some extra sauce to do tomorrow night, man. And that's going to be a much more comprehensive show and much more thorough into this conversation. But yeah, I'm gonna have some choice words about that. I wasn't off. I didn't feel like I was off when I was saying what I was saying Sunday in the post game, because I still feel that way. Probably more so now. You know what I mean? But we'll just try not to give the media all the strays this time and talk about the particulars inside the building.
See, that's where my head was. But I do have to give you a bit of a thumbs up, because you were a little bit more focused on a particular area of that situation than I was, and you brought it up, and I was like, I don't know, but I think it's valid to sort of bring to light a little bit here now before we shut things down. You'd mentioned sort of just the punishment portion of all of that and how it would sit with the rest of the team. And I was like, I'm not sure if that was really a big issue. I think it was a major issue. And why I think that is a couple of reasons. It feels to me, and this is why I think Flus is gone. By the end of this season, it feels to me like management being above Flus came down and told Flus that he had to punish Tariq. And if that's the case, and then he went forward and did it,
I think opposite.
Okay.
I don't think management came down and said anything. I think Flus caved to it. I think Flus caved to it in to the chagrin of his captains. His captains, I think he went in there and had the decision made before he met with his captains and got his captains' opinions on whether or not they should bench him. They probably told him we don't think it's necessary.
They did.
And did it anyway. And I think something like that, people won't really give anybody credit for mentioning that. Like, it can't be like it could be that simple. Those guys are tied in at the hip. They don't feel like, okay, you coming in here, what the fuck did you call us in here for? Excuse my language. Why'd you call us in here and ask us our opinion if you already had your mind made up? And on top of that, we don't feel like you hold yourself accountable in front of everybody either. And so you put those are two like nuclear bombs inside that building. You know what I'm saying? Those two things are supposed to be together. Those two things were apart and fuses were lit. And I think we saw the result of it on the field.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I think it was a bit more of a corporate move. That's just my thoughts. I think the result is the same. You know what I mean? I think the result is the same. And it's that, hey, Flus told these guys these guys, again, leadership team spoke with Flus and told him what their expectation was. And I'm assuming there was an agreement there. Yet Tariq was still punished. Again, no, I have less of a problem. You see, I have less of a problem with Tariq being punished, even if there was a little bit of a conversation there. My problem is that, it all just comes back down to what we were originally talking about, and that is really the accountability of Matt Eberflus, which we were, in discussion, we were talking, and you're like, we'll never get Matt Eberflus at that level where he's actually taking accountability. That's just not what you're going to get from Matt Eberflus. And holy smokes, how quick did we get it, though? You know what I mean? Like, it came flying out his mouth at halftime. It came flying out his mouth in the presser. He was all about accountability on when he was talking to Kappa J Hood this week. It was pretty crazy. But you know what? I mean, you could definitely go another couple hours just talking about this alone. So let's run the SuerFlex credits. Let's run the SuerFlex credits. We'll call it a night. Thanks to all of you guys. Big shout out to all of y'all for sending in your fantasy football issues. We got to touch on that. Again, it's going to be another interesting week in the NFL. Shout outs to Sir Drop, Mr. Mayhem, big shout out to you. Always good to have you, my brother. Shout out to Jonathan at Moss, who just jumped in. Julian Garcia, Augusto, what it do, Augusto? Who else we got? Bears Junkie 23. King Booker World's out there with us. Minister Charles Johnson, super no maniac. Minister Charles Johnson, big shout outs to you, my bro. Scottish Bear, the Naj, Mofugra, Plank, She Plank. Hey man, thanks for all the love as per normal. And dude, take us home.
Yep, tomorrow's gonna be a good ass show.
Yep,
real good show.